Have you ever noticed how the word independent stirs up discomfort in others? On the surface, society celebrates independence. It's praised in speeches, written into mottos, and used to sell lifestyles of freedom. But when a person truly begins to embody independence, not just financial, not just practical, but deep psychological independence, something strange happens. They are no longer celebrated. They are questioned, criticized, even feared. Carl Jung once said that the greatest privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. Yet few people realize how unsettling that process can be to others. Because the moment you stop depending on their approval, their validation, their attention to define your worth, you hold up a mirror. And in that mirror, people are forced to confront the truth of their own dependence. Independent people are often accused of arrogance. They are called cold, distant, or even selfish. But the truth is far more complex. Their independence is not born of pride. It is born of necessity. It is forged in the fires of disappointment, shaped by betrayals, polished by countless nights of self-reflection. An independent soul is rarely one who had an easy path. More often, it is the one who learned, sometimes painfully, that relying on others to fill the emptiness only deepens the void. Picture this. A person chooses to walk a road without the usual crutches society provides. They are not rushing into relationships just to avoid being alone. They are not molding themselves into someone else's expectations just to be accepted. They are not spending every ounce of their energy trying to prove their worth to those who cannot even see their own. Instead, they are standing still, rooted, facing their own silence. And silence frightens people, because silence strips away illusion. In silence, there is no applause, no approval, no mask. There is only the self, the raw, unpolished truth of who you are. Jung called this individuation, the process of becoming whole by integrating both light and shadow. Independent people are those who chose to walk that path, even when it meant walking alone. This is why they are misunderstood. Society is built on conformity, on belonging, on the subtle pressure to keep everyone moving in rhythm. And yet, the independent person dares to step out of line, to dance to a rhythm only they can hear. They do not live in rebellion for rebellion's sake. They live in alignment with their own soul, which no longer accepts chains, however gilded they may be. Perhaps you felt this too, the strange tension of being both admired and resented for your independence. People may praise your strength, but beneath their praise, there is a current of unease, because your freedom reminds them of their own cages. Your clarity reveals their compromises. Your refusal to settle illuminates the places where they accepted less, and so they do not know what to do with you. Jung would remind us that projection is everywhere. When others misunderstand your independence, it often has little to do with you. It has everything to do with the shadow they refuse to face. They see in you the life they secretly desire but fear to live. They see in you the courage they suppress within themselves. And instead of confronting that longing, they call you difficult, unreachable, strange. But here is the truth. Independent people are not cold. They are not without love. In fact, their love runs deeper because it is not born of lack, not tied to need, not dependent on performance. It is love that flows from overflow, from fullness, from a soul that has already learned to sit with itself without flinching. And that is precisely why they are so misunderstood. Because we live in a world that confuses dependence with devotion, control with connection, need with love, So the next time someone accuses you of being too independent, too selective, too strong, remember this. What they really mean is that your very existence unsettles the illusions they cling to. And rather than see it as rejection, see it for what it is, a sign that you are walking the rarest of paths, the path Jung described as individuation, the journey not toward approval, but toward wholeness. Independence is not loneliness. How many times have you heard it? You must be lonely. Or perhaps you'll change your mind one day. Nobody really wants to be alone forever. It is one of the most persistent myths about independence that it is merely loneliness in disguise, that deep down, every person who stands on their own must secretly be aching for someone else to fill the silence. But Carl Jung would urge us to look deeper. What we often call loneliness is in fact a projection, the shadow of our own fears placed upon someone else. Because if we ourselves cannot bear to be alone, how could anyone else possibly enjoy it? If we dread silence, we assume silence must be dreadful for everyone. This is not truth. This is projection. Independent people are often misunderstood, precisely because they are comfortable in spaces most others flee from. They can sit with themselves for hours, even days, without needing the constant noise of companionship to feel alive. They can eat alone, walk alone, travel alone, and not once feel incomplete. And that unsettles those who have never tasted that kind of inner sufficiency. Loneliness is not the same as solitude. Loneliness is the absence of connection, a hunger that gnaws at the spirit. Solitude is the presence of the self, a fullness that expands quietly, like roots spreading underground. When an independent person chooses solitude, they are not running from people. They are returning to themselves. And yet, to the outside world, this return looks like absence. Society mistrusts what it cannot categorize. And so the independent person is judged cold, distant, antisocial. But what if the truth is the opposite? What if independence is not the absence of love, but the very condition that makes deeper love possible? Jung once said, "Loneliness does not come from having no people around, but from being unable to communicate the things that seem important to oneself." And isn't that the hidden truth here? Independent people often choose silence because so much of ordinary conversation feels empty, shallow, disconnected from what matters most. It is not that they do not want to connect. It is that they refuse to dilute their essence just to be tolerated. Think of a river. It does not flow to every ditch or puddle. It carves its own path, patiently, deliberately, until it meets the sea. Independent souls are like that river. Their solitude is not stagnation. It is movement towards something vast, something true, something whole. So the next time someone mistakes independence for loneliness, remember, what they are truly seeing is their own fear of being left alone with themselves. They cannot imagine solitude as sanctuary because their shadow has not yet been faced. They cannot imagine independence as strength because they have not yet claimed their own. Independent people are not lonely. They are selective. They are not cold. They are clear. And their solitude is not absence. It is presence, the kind of presence that unsettles precisely because it cannot be controlled. There is something profoundly unsettling about a person who no longer depends on approval, applause, or validation to know who they are. To most of the world, this is not freedom. It is rebellion. It is dangerous. Why? Because it cannot be controlled. Carl Jung observed that societies thrive on conformity. We are given roles, scripts, identities. We are told what success looks like. what relationships should mean, what paths are respectable. The collective loves order, because order is predictable. And yet, the independent person does something radical. They step outside the script. They live by essence rather than convention. And in doing so, they expose the fragility of the rules everyone else follows. Think of how unsettling it is for someone who believes happiness is only found in constant companionship to meet a person who is joyful in their solitude, or how threatening it feels for someone who measures their worth in material status to meet a person who radiates contentment without chasing wealth. The mere existence of the independent soul is a mirror that reflects back the artificiality of so many lives lived for show. That is why independence is so misunderstood. It disrupts the unspoken contract of control. It says, I will not play the game. And when one person refuses to play, the illusion that the game is necessary begins to crumble. Jung once remarked that where love rules, there is no will to power, and where power predominates, love is lacking. True independence is love in its purest form. Love of the self, love of truth, love of freedom. And this kind of love dismantles control, because a person who has cultivated their own wholeness cannot be manipulated with fear, guilt, or the promise of belonging. But here lies the paradox. Independent people are not seeking to overthrow society. They are not trying to tear down the world. They are simply trying to live authentically. And yet, their authenticity is the most disruptive force of all. Because the moment you stop needing permission to exist, you are beyond the reach of control. Imagine someone who, after years of bending to please others, finally stands straight. They no longer contort themselves to fit expectations. They no longer apologize for their truth. They simply stand. Do you feel the weight of that? It is not loud. It is not aggressive. It is quiet. But it shakes the ground. This is why independent people attract both admiration and resentment. To those still trapped in dependency, they appear cold, selfish, unwilling to play along. But to those who have begun their own inner work, they appear luminous, magnetic, alive. So when people misunderstand independence, when they call it arrogance or rebellion, they are really confessing something. That the presence of an independent soul destabilizes the structures they rely on. And Jung would remind us, this is not your burden to carry. Your independence is not a crime. It is a necessity. It is the very path leading toward individuation, toward becoming who you truly are beneath all masks. One of the greatest misconceptions about independent people is that they don't need love, or worse, that they are incapable of it. Their boundaries are mistaken for walls. Their clarity is mistaken for arrogance. Their self-sufficiency is mistaken for emotional detachment. But Carl Jung would suggest the opposite. Independence is not the absence of love. It is the soil where real love finally has the chance to grow. Think of the relationships most people rush into. They are often tangled in unconscious needs. The need to be validated, to be seen, to be completed by another. Jung would call this projection. We place onto the other person the parts of ourselves we have not yet integrated. We mistake dependency for devotion. And then, when the illusion collapses, we feel betrayed. The independent person has walked through that collapse already. They have faced the shadow of their own loneliness, their own longing, their own emptiness, and discovered that no one else can fill it for them. That realization is painful, even brutal, but it is also liberating. Because once you know how to sit with yourself without shrinking, you are no longer looking for love as an escape. You are ready to meet another as an equal. This is what so many misunderstand. The independent person does not withhold love. They protect it. They refuse to squander it on half-truths, on shallow games, on relationships that demand they become smaller to be accepted. They are waiting, not for perfection, but for presence. Not for someone to save them, but for someone to stand beside them whole. And when that kind of love comes, it is deeper than most can imagine, because it is not born of desperation. It is born of choice. The independent soul does not love because they need. They love because they have overflow. Their love is not a hunger, it is a gift. But here is why this love is so often misunderstood. It demands maturity. It demands that the other person also face themselves, also confront their shadows, also stand whole. And many people are not ready for that. It is easier to cling to dependency and call it romance than to step into the fire of real intimacy. So, the independent person is judged as too picky, too demanding, too detached, when in truth, they are simply unwilling to trade their wholeness for the illusion of love. They know that a bond, which requires the death of the self, is not love. It is control. And so, they wait. If it means walking alone, because they refuse to betray the truth they have fought so hard to uncover. Jung said that the meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed. Independent people seek transformation, not distraction. They long for the alchemy of love that changes both souls, that brings light to shadow, wholeness to fracture. And until that is possible, they stand firm in their independence, not as a rejection of love, but as its deepest preparation. Independence is not selfishness. If there is one word society often uses to dismiss independent people, it is selfish. You've heard it before. You only think about yourself. You don't care about anyone else. You put your needs first. But pause for a moment and ask, why does prioritizing your own well-being trigger such discomfort in others? Carl Jung believed that the self, the whole of who we are, both conscious and unconscious, is the center of our psyche. To ignore it, to betray it, is to live fragmented, to live inauthentically. Independence then is not selfishness. It is alignment with the self. It is refusing to abandon yourself just to be accepted by others. Yet the world resists this truth. Why? Because a person who respects their own boundaries cannot be easily exploited. They won't say yes when they mean no. They won't drain themselves to fuel someone else's comfort. They won't sacrifice their peace just to keep the appearance of harmony. And this refusal threatens those who have grown comfortable feeding off dependency. When you stop betraying yourself, you stop being convenient to others. And instead of admitting that they relied on your silence, they call you selfish. It is not your independence that bothers them. It is their loss of control. But here is the paradox. Independent people are often more generous than anyone else because they are not giving from emptiness. They are giving from fullness. They do not help out of guilt or compulsion. They help out of choice. Their no makes their yes more meaningful. Their boundaries make their love more trustworthy. Imagine two people. One says yes to every request, even when they are exhausted, resentful, or secretly unwilling. The other says no when their limits are reached. But when they do say yes, it comes with their whole heart. Which is more selfish? The one who pretends to serve while secretly betraying themselves? Or the one who honors their own soul so that what they offer is genuine? Jung once said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." Independent people are walking that privilege. And in doing so, They challenge a culture that equates sacrifice with virtue, silence with loyalty, self-denial with love. They embody a deeper truth, that real love, real service, real generosity can only come from a soul that is whole. So, if you are called selfish for being independent, remember, selfishness is not living true to yourself. Selfishness is demanding that others abandon themselves for your comfort. And independent people refuse to play that game, both as givers and as receivers. They know the difference. And that is why their presence is both unsettling and magnetic. Independence awakens in others. Why is it that independent people so often become the target of criticism, gossip, and judgment? Why do others feel the need to label them as cold, arrogant, or unapproachable? The answer lies not in who the independent person truly is, but in what they awaken in others. Carl Jung wrote extensively about projection, the tendency to cast onto others the qualities we cannot accept in ourselves. When someone meets a person who is whole on their own, who does not chase, who does not beg, who does not bend to fit expectations, something uncomfortable stirs within them. It forces them to ask questions they would rather avoid. Why can't I be that free? Why do I depend so much on approval? Why am I afraid to stand alone? Instead of facing these questions, many people project. They turn the independent person into a problem. She's too proud. He thinks he's better than everyone. They're so detached. These judgments are not descriptions of reality. They are shields, defenses against the mirror that independence holds up. This is why independent people are so often misunderstood. Their very existence disturbs the collective dream. They reveal simply by being that the chains many wear are chosen, not fixed. And that realization is terrifying to those who have built their entire identity around dependency. But independence is not a rejection of connection. It is a refusal to settle for false connection. The independent person doesn't distance themselves because they despise people. They distance themselves because they value truth over appearances. And that value system is rare in a world that prefers masks. Imagine someone who has spent their whole life needing constant reassurance. Then they meet someone who radiates quiet confidence without needing anyone's validation. What do they feel? Admiration, yes, but also fear, because that presence exposes their own fragility. It is easier to label the other as cold than to admit their own dependency. Jung once said, "Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves." If people fear or resent your independence, it is because your presence touches something unacknowledged in their own psyche. They could choose to learn from it, but often they choose to attack it. So when you are judged for being independent, when people misunderstand your silence, your clarity, your boundaries, remember this: their reaction is not really about you. It is about their shadow. You are not the villain in their story. You are the mirror. And mirrors are rarely loved by those who refuse to see. One of the greatest myths about independence is that it isolates. That if you don't cling, if you don't depend, if you don't need constant reassurance, you will end up alone. But Jung would tell us that this belief comes from confusion between attachment and connection, between dependency and intimacy. True independence does not weaken relationships. It strengthens them. Why? Because when two independent people meet, their bond is not built on fear. It is not built on the terror of being left behind or the hunger to be validated. It is built on presence, on the willingness to share, not to consume. Most relationships our unconscious contracts. I will fill your emptiness if you fill mine. This feels like love at first, but it quickly turns into control. One person shrinks, so the other can shine. Both remain dependent, bound not by love, but by fear of losing what they think they cannot live without. Independent people refuse these contracts. They know the cost of abandoning themselves for connection, and they will not repeat that mistake. Instead, they choose to relate from wholeness. They don't demand that the other fix them. They don't beg for attention. They don't enter the bond to survive. They enter to grow, and this is why their love, whether romantic, familial, or friendship, runs so deep. Because it is not diluted by masks. It is not poisoned by hidden need. It is honest. If they stay, it is because they choose to, not because they fear being alone. This is also why others sometimes misinterpret their relationships. They don't text constantly. They don't cling. They don't panic at distance. They give space. To the insecure, this feels like coldness. But in reality, it is trust. It is confidence that love doesn't have to be fed by constant performance. It can rest in truth. Jung once said that individuation, the process of becoming who you truly are, does not isolate us from the world. It allows us to meet it more authentically. Independent people embody this. Their independence is not a wall, but a filter. It keeps out the shallow, the manipulative, the draining, so that what remains can be genuine, reciprocal, alive. So no, independence is not the enemy of love. It is its greatest ally. It ensures that when connection happens, it is not an escape from yourself, but an expansion of yourself. That kind of love is rare. That kind of love is misunderstood. But it is the only love that endures. At the heart of Carl Jung's work lies one truth. Every soul is on a journey toward wholeness. We are not here to live as fragments, shaped only by the expectations of others. We are here to integrate our shadow, to reconcile our opposites, to become ourselves fully. And independence, though misunderstood, judged, and even feared, is one of the clearest signs that a person has begun this journey. Independent people are often painted as cold or arrogant, when in fact, they are simply awake. They have seen through the illusion that love means sacrifice of the self. They have walked through loneliness, through silence, through the difficult nights where approval never came. And they have discovered that life does not collapse when you stand alone. In that discovery, they become free. And yet that freedom unsettles the world because it cannot be controlled. It cannot be guilted. It cannot be bought. Independent people carry a kind of presence that says, I know who I am, even if you misunderstand me. I know my worth, even if you don't recognize it. I know my path, even if you don't walk beside me. This is why they are the most misunderstood, because their very being exposes the places where others are still bound by fear, by need, by conformity. They are living proof that you can step outside of those chains. And proof, in a world that thrives on dependency, is dangerous. But here is the deeper truth. Independence is not the end of love, of connection, of belonging. It is the beginning. Because only when you no longer need love to survive can you truly love without fear. Only when you no longer need approval can you show up as your full self. Only when you no longer betray your own soul can you enter into bonds that honor both souls equally. Jung once said, the most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely. That is the essence of independence. It is not rebellion. It is not arrogance. It is self-acceptance so deep, so complete, that no misunderstanding can undo it. So if you are independent, if you are misunderstood, if others project their fears onto your freedom, remember this: you are not broken. You are not cold. You are not lost. You are becoming. You are walking the paths of individuation. And that path will always look strange to those who have not yet begun it. But one day, they may look at you and realize you were not rejecting the world. You were teaching it, not with speeches, not with arguments, but with presence, with the quiet, undeniable strength of a soul that finally knows itself. And when that day comes, they will see what you have always known. Independence is not the absence of love. It is the presence of the self. And from that presence, everything true, love, connection, belonging flows effortlessly.